Hello, everybody. If you're new this week, my name is Paige Lundquist, and I'm with Urban Lotus Project. So welcome to our virtual studio. If you'd like, you can start video. I think it's awesome to see everybody, but if not, don't worry about it. Throughout this practice, I recommend getting a pillow and a blanket. You could use the pillow to sit on in the beginning of the meditation practice. And then towards the end, you could use the pillow to put under your head for Shavasana, or use a blanket to wrap you up if you get cold. So without further ado, we'll begin. We'll come to a seated posture on our mats. So this is when I like to get a pillow or a bolster, and we'll go ahead and sit on the edge if you have a prop to sit on. Sitting on the edge helps to elevate the hips, lengthen the spine, and we'll just begin to drop the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe resting our hands on top of our lap. We can choose whether or not we'd like to shut the eyelids or stare down at the tip of our nose. And we're just going to tap into the breath, into the body, into the space around us in this virtual yoga studio. I invite you to place one hand on the belly and another on the heart. And we're going to begin to take a deep inhalation in the belly. Feeling the belly rise. Blowing the belly up like a balloon. And as we exhale, exhaling all the air out, we're going to bring that belly button in towards the spine. Next, we'll inhale, inflating the belly, and then bringing the breath into the lungs, expanding the rib cage. And exhale out through the lungs and out through the belly. Inhale into the belly, into the lungs. And next we'll bring our inhalation into the heart. And exhale out through the heart, out through the lungs, and out through the belly. Inhaling into the belly, into the lungs, and into the heart. And exhale out through the heart, out through the lungs, and out through the belly. And we're going to continue breathing like this for 4 more rounds of breath. Just noticing the start of every inhalation to the end of every exhalation. Maybe noticing the temperature of the air as you inhale, and the temperature of the air as you exhale. We'll go through 1 more round of breath. And exhale, slowly lowering the hands onto the lap. And we'll begin to flutter the eyelids back open to the space, to the room that we're in. Noticing our surroundings, maybe noticing something in the room that we haven't noticed before. Just taking note of that. And next we'll begin to bring our arms out to the side of the body. Oh, and also if you're sitting on a pillow, go ahead and remove that pillow out from underneath you. Okay, we'll begin to bring our arms out to the sides of the body, and we'll inhale, lifting the arms and the gaze up towards the ceiling. And exhale, pressing the palms together, bring the palms to heart center. Inhale, lifting the arms and gaze up above the head. Pressing those palms and exhale to heart center. Inhale, lifting up. And this time, exhale, lowering those hands down to the sides of the body. We'll begin to drop the right ear down towards that right shoulder blade. And maybe walk those left fingertips away from the body just a little bit. Stretching that left side of the neck. We'll take a couple breaths here. And we'll inhale, lifting the head back up to center. And exhale, lowering the left ear down to the left shoulder blade. And maybe walking those right fingertips away from the body just by a couple inches. Breathing into that right side of the neck. And inhale, lifting the head back up to center. This time we're going to go ahead and place the palms back down onto the lap. And we'll go ahead and go through a few rounds of neck rolls. So inhaling out the top. And exhale, lowering that right ear to right shoulder blade, chin to chest. Left ear to left shoulder blade, and inhaling at the top. And go ahead and go at your own pace. Matching your breath with movement. Maybe hanging out in a spot that feels good to you, that needs a little extra attention. And go ahead and switch rotations, dropping that left ear to left shoulder blade, chin to chest, right ear to right shoulder blade. Going through one more round, and we'll go ahead and meet back in center. Good. Next, we'll go ahead and place our hands on our knees. And we'll begin to inhale, lifting the chest and the heart up towards the ceiling. And as we exhale, we'll round out the spine, bringing the chin in towards the chest. Inhale, lifting the chest and gaze up towards the ceiling. And exhale, rounding out that spine, chin in towards the chest. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, round out that spine. Just warming up the spine here. Exhale. One more time, inhale, lifting up. And exhale, round out that spine. Go ahead, we'll come back to a neutral spine. And lowering those hands back down towards the side body. We'll inhale, lift the arms up above the head. And then we'll exhale, fold over the legs. Maybe we spider walk the fingertips away from the body. We'll just stay here for a couple breaths. Inhale, walking those fingertips back up towards the body. Good. Inhale, lifting those arms up above the head. And as we exhale, we'll go ahead and twist off to the left side, bringing the right hand in front of us and the left hand behind us. And our gaze could be over the left shoulder blade. With every inhalation, lengthening the spine, and every exhalation, twisting a little bit deeper. And then we'll inhale, slowly begin to unwind, bringing it back to center. Inhale, lifting those arms and gaze up above the head. And exhale, this time twisting off to the right side. So the right hand is behind us and the left hand is in front of us. Our eyes are over the right shoulder blade. And again, with every inhalation, shooting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. In every exhalation, twisting a little bit deeper. Inhale, slowly begin to unwind, bringing it back to center. This time, we're gonna go ahead and bring the bottom leg on top. And then we'll inhale the arms up above the head and exhale, folding over those legs once again, dropping and lowering that head. Maybe spider walking those fingers away from the body. Staying here for a couple of breaths. And we'll inhale, walking those fingertips back up towards the body. And we'll go ahead, inhale, lifting those arms and gaze up above the head. And exhale, we're gonna lower that right hand down to the side body and extend the left arm overhead. Staying rooted. And stretching those left rib cage. And we'll inhale, coming back up to center. And exhale, lowering that left hand this time. And extend that right arm overhead. Stretching that right side of the body. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lowering those hands back down. Good. We're going to come up onto that left hip, bringing those legs around us. And we're going to meet in a tabletop position, coming up on the hands and knees. We could tuck the toes underneath if we want some added balance. But here we want to make sure that our wrists are right below elbows, our elbows are right below shoulder blades, and our knees are hip width distance apart. So what we'll begin to do is inhale, lifting that right arm up, palm facing inwards. And we could stay here if this is enough, or we could begin to lift that left leg up. And we want our foot flexed. Staying here for a couple breaths. And on the next exhale, we'll go ahead and bring that elbow and knee in towards one another. And inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen out. And go ahead, exhale, lowering that right hand and that knee back down. Next, we'll go ahead and lift that left arm up, palm facing inwards. And when we're ready, inhaling that right leg up, foot flexed. Staying here for a couple breaths. On the next exhale, go ahead and bring that elbow and knee in towards one another. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower that hand and the knee back down. We'll go ahead and bring our knees to the outer edges of the mat, big toes together, and we'll sit back on our heels and begin to walk those palms forward in front of us, lowering our head down onto the mat, meeting in child's pose. I invite you here in this posture to maybe think about 3 things you're grateful for today in this moment. Just repeat those things to yourself. I also invite you to return back to this posture at any point in your practice. It's a great resting pose. On the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and rise back up, meeting at the top of our mat in a standing position. We'll go ahead and meet in mountain pose. So mountain pose, what mountain pose looks like is we want our feet to be hip-width distance apart. We're going to lift up all 10 toes, spread them wide, and bring them back down onto the mat. We're going to begin to lift the kneecaps, activating the thighs, tucking that pelvic bone in, engaging the core muscles. And we'll go ahead and inhale, lifting the shoulder blades up towards the ears and down the length of the spine. Open up the palms, activate the fingertips. Staying here for a couple breaths. Just noticing the strength in this pose. Next, we'll begin to inhale the arms up above the head. And exhale, swan dive over the legs, coming into forward fold. We can have a nice bend in the legs if our hamstrings are feeling a bit tight. Next, we'll inhale, flat back rise, bringing our fingertips to the shins. A complete flat back, so flat, like balance a cup on your back. Crown of the head shooting forward. And exhale, folding forward, planting those palms down onto the mat. We'll go ahead and step back into a high plank. Next, we'll go ahead and lower the kneecaps down to the mat. And exhale, take a bend in the elbows, lowering ourselves all the way down onto our mat, untucking those toes. And we'll inhale, lift the chest and the heart off of the mat. Baby cobra pose. Exhale, lowering back down onto the mat. Coming back onto the knees, tucking those toes underneath, lifting the knees and the hips up, meeting in downward facing dog. Pressing down through the ring finger. We can have a nice bend in the knees for a lot of this. This could be the first down dog of the day. Feel free to walk out those heels, walk in the dog. On the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and step or hop to the front of the mat. And we'll inhale, flat back rise, bringing those fingers back to the shins. Exhale, folding forward. We'll take a nice bend in the knees, resting the torso on top of the thighs. And we'll slowly begin to roll up the spine. Stacking one vertebrae at a time. Shoulders and head coming last. Meeting back in mountain pose. We'll do 2 more rounds of sun salutation, showing reverence to the sun. Inhaling those arms up above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back rise. Exhale, folding forward, plant those palms and step back, high plank. Lower those knees down. Go ahead, take a bend in those elbows, coming all the way down onto the mat, untucking those toes, and inhale, lifting that chest and heart off of the mat, baby cobra. Exhale, coming all the way down. Inhale, coming back onto those knees, and exhale, lift those knees and hips up towards the sky, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. And again, feel free to walk out that dog. On the next inhalation, go ahead and step or walk to the front of the mat. And we'll inhale, flat back, rise. Exhale, forward fold. Go ahead, take a bend in your knees, resting your torso on top of the thighs. And slowly begin to roll up that spine. Stacking one vertebrae at a time. Shoulders and head coming last. Leaning back in mountain pose. Inhale those arms up above the head. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back rise. Exhale, forward fold. Planting those palms, stepping back, high plank. This time, I'm going to give you the option to stay in high plank or take the bend in the knees and lower the knees. If you want to stay in high plank, we're going to slowly begin to bend the elbows until we come all the way down to the mat. And then we'll inhale, lifting the heart and the chest up for baby cobra, or coming all the way in upward facing dog, lifting those thighs off the mat, pressing the tops of the feet down into the mat. And we'll exhale, coming onto the knees, tucking those toes, and lifting those hips up, downward facing dog. Staying here for 2 to 3 breaths. On the next inhalation, go ahead and step or walk to the front of the mat. And we'll inhale, flat back rise. And exhale, folding forward. Take a bend in those knees and slowly begin to roll up those spine. Shoulders and head coming last. Meeting back in mountain pose. We'll go ahead and stay here for a couple breaths. Tuning into the body and tuning into the breath. On our next exhalation, we'll go ahead and bring the right foot back, setting ourselves up for warrior series. So we want that right foot to be pointing parallel to the mat. And we want that left foot facing forward to the top of the mat. We'll go ahead and take a bend into that left knee. That left knee is going to be directly over that left ankle in a 90-degree angle. And we'll inhale the arms up to a T. Our drishti, or our gaze, is over the left peace fingers. And we'll stay here for 2 to 3 breaths. On the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and lengthen that leg. Go ahead, clap those hands up above the head, up above the head. Inhale, take a bend in those knees, back to warrior 2. Go ahead, lengthen that leg, clap those hands. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, warrior 2. Good. Next, we'll go ahead and flip that front palm facing up towards the ceiling. And exhale, slide that back hand down that back thigh, lifting that front arm overhead. Peaceful warrior. Staying here for 2 to 3 breaths. We'll inhale, coming back to warrior 2. And exhale, drop that left elbow onto that left knee. Extend that right arm overhead. Bicep is going to be close to that right ear. We want a long stream of energy from those right toes to the right fingertips. We'll stay here for 2 to 3 breaths. Next, we'll exhale, lowering those hands down onto the mat, framing that left foot, coming up onto those right toes. We'll go ahead and lower that right knee down onto the mat. We'll plant that right palm on the inside of that left foot. And as we inhale, we'll bring that left arm up towards the ceiling. We could keep this knee lowered down onto the mat, or we could extend and lift that right knee off of the mat. Yogi's choice. Staying here for 2 to 3 breaths. And exhale, lowering that left hand back down to the mat. And if your knee is lifted, go ahead, lower it back down. We'll bring that left knee back to meet the right. And we'll go ahead and bring those knees to the outer edges of the mat. Big toes together. And sit back onto your heels, coming into child's pose. Maybe noticing what the mat feels like underneath the fingertips. Noticing the temperature of the air on the skin. Noticing if the breath is shallow or deep. On the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and rise back up. We'll go ahead and meet at the top of the mat, coming back into mountain pose. We'll pause here for a moment and take a couple breaths. On the next exhalation, we'll go ahead and bring that left foot back. The left toes are going to be facing parallel to the mat. The right toes are going to be facing forward to the top of the mat. Setting ourselves up for warrior 2 on the other side. So go ahead and take that bend in that right knee, making sure that knee is right directly over that right ankle. We should be able to only see our right big toe and the second toe. And we'll go ahead and open up those arms to a T, bringing our gaze over those right peace fingers. Staying here for 2 to 3 breaths. Next, we'll inhale, lengthening out that front leg, and go ahead and clap the hands up above the head. Exhale, sink a little bit deeper, warrior 2. Inhale, lengthen those legs, clap those hands. Exhale, sink a little bit deeper, warrior 2. One more time, inhale, and exhale. Next, we'll go ahead and flip that front palm, right palm facing up towards the ceiling, and exhale it over the head, back of the hand sliding down that left thigh. Peaceful warrior. We want to make sure we're keeping that bend in that right knee. Next, we'll inhale, coming back to warrior 2. Exhale, lowering that right elbow to meet that right knee, and extend that left arm overhead. Bicep is going to be close to that left ear. We want a long stream of energy from the left toes to the left fingertips. Staying here for 2 to 3 breaths. Next, we'll exhale, lowering, cartwheeling those hands back down onto the mat, framing that right foot, coming up onto those left toes. And we'll go ahead and lower that left knee down onto the mat. We'll go ahead and bring that left hand on the inside of that right foot. And on the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and open up that right arm up towards that ceiling. And we'll go ahead, we could keep the left knee down onto the mat, or we can lift that left knee off of the mat. We'll stay here for 2 to 3 breaths. And exhale, go ahead, lower that right hand back down to meet the left. If your knee is lifted, go ahead, drop that left knee back down onto the mat. And we'll go ahead and bring that right knee back to meet the left. Go ahead, bring the knees to the outer edges of the mat, big toes together. And we'll sit back on the heels, extending those arms forward, maybe placing our forehead down onto the mat. Taking a few breaths here in this resting posture. Next, we'll go ahead and inhale, lifting back up, and we'll meet at the top of the mat, back into mountain pose. And next, we'll go ahead and we'll come into our balancing series. So we'll begin by standing in a hip width distance stance. We'll go ahead and bring the weight off to the left side and begin to take a bend into that right knee. We can open up that right knee, placing that right heel on the inside of that left ankle. Begin to find a still point in front of you, maybe 2 or 3 feet in front of you. Preparing ourselves for tree pose. We'll begin to bring that right foot up on the inside of that left calf. Or we could go ahead and grab that foot and bring it on the inside of that left thigh. And we have a couple of variations of where we could put our hands. We could either bring our hands to heart center in prayer position. If we're having trouble balancing, we could bring our arms out to a T. You can even do this posture next to a wall. Or we could bring those arms up above the head. We could have a wide stance, or we could bring our hands to prayer position up above the head. Yogi's choice. We'll stay here for 4 to 5 breaths. And it's okay if you fall out of the posture, you could always get back in and try again. If your hands are up above the head, go ahead, press the palms together, exhale, bring it back down to heart center, and slowly lower that right foot down to meet the left. Go ahead, shake out the limbs a little bit. And we'll go ahead and bring the weight off on the right side this time. Go ahead, take that bend into the left knee, opening up and placing that left heel on the inside of that right ankle. We could begin to bring that foot up, maybe on the inside of that right calf, or we could grab that left foot and place it on the inside of the right thigh. And again, we could bring your hands to prayer in front of heart center. We could bring the arms up above the head. your blossoming tree. If your arms are up above the head, go ahead and press the palms together and exhale down to heart center, slowly lowering that left leg back down to meet the right. And go ahead and shake it out a little bit. Meeting back into a mountain posture. We'll go ahead and bring our weight off to the left side. Next, taking a bend in that left or that right knee, lifting the foot off the ground. We could keep that right hand on that right knee. We could bring the left hand to the waist, or if you're next to a wall, you could place that left hand on a wall. We could stay right here, or you can grab the right big toe with the peace fingers, and you could extend that right foot out in front of you. Yogi's choice. Staying here for a couple breaths. On the next exhale, go ahead and bring that knee or that right leg out to the side. I challenge you all to maybe bring the gaze over to the left side of the body. Inhale, bringing it back to center. And exhale, go ahead, lower that right leg back down to meet the left. Go ahead, shake it out a little bit. Next, we'll go ahead and bring that weight off to the right side. Take that bend in that left knee, lifting that foot off of the ground. Maybe we place that right hand onto the right waist. We could keep our left hand on the knee, or go ahead and grab that big toe with the left peace fingers, extending that leg out in front of you. We'll stay here for 2 or 3 breaths. On the next exhale, go ahead and bring that knee or that left leg out to the left side. And again, I challenge you all to maybe bring the gaze over to the right side of the body. Sometimes you fall out of the pose, and that's okay. You can always get up and try again. Inhale, bringing it back to center. And exhale, lowering that knee. Go ahead, shake it out. Good. So next, I'm going to teach you what we call Warrior 3. We'll go ahead and meet at the top of the mat. And what we'll do is bring our weight off into the left side of the body. We're going to bring our right leg back and lift that right leg back and up. And the top of our body is going to be facing forward. We could bring our hands to prayer mudra in a heart center, or we could bring our arms out to the side like an airplane. We want to keep that right foot flexed and keep the hips down towards the mat. Inhale, bringing it back to mountain pose. Go ahead, shake out the legs a little bit. And next, we'll bring that weight off to the right side, lifting that left leg up and back, keeping that left foot flexed. Our torso is facing down towards the mat. We can bring our hands to prayer mudra. We can bring them to airplane, or we could bring our arms out in front of us. And inhale, coming back up, meeting at the top of the mat. Good. And we'll go ahead, meet back in mountain pose. Take a couple breaths here. Next, we'll go ahead and inhale here and exhale. We're going to lower the fingertips down towards the mat And inhale, lifting the arms back up, coming into chair pose. We want most of our weight back into our heels, lifting up all 10 toes. Next, we'll exhale, bring our arms to skier arms. Bring the arms back towards the body. Inhale, lifting up, arms up above the head. Exhale, skier arms. Inhale, lifting up. And then exhale, we're gonna press up, lengthen the legs, and fold forward. Good. So next, we'll slowly begin to bring our bottom down onto the mat. Coming into a nice seated posture, maybe taking a bend in the knees. We could place our hands on the backs of the thighs. And we'll begin to slowly sit back onto the tailbone. And we'll begin to lift the feet off of the mat, coming into boat pose. We could keep our hands on the backs of the thighs if we want, or we could extend the arms out in front of us. We want to lift that chest and heart up and engage those core muscles. We'll stay here for 3 or 4 breaths. Good. Next, we'll go ahead and do a couple yogi crutches. So what this looks like is as we exhale, we're gonna extend the legs and the arms out, coming inches away from coming all the way down onto the mat, and we'll inhale, bring it back to bow pose. Good. Exhale, extend. Inhale, bow. Exhale, and inhale, bow pose. Let's do one more. Good, and go ahead, lower those feet back down onto the mat. Go ahead, hug those knees into the chest. And we'll go ahead, drop the knees. Bring it back, coming back to tabletop position. Go ahead, bring the knees to the outer edges of the mat, big toes together, and we'll sit back into a child's pose. Taking a couple breaths here, resting. Noticing if the breath is shallow or deep. Noticing what the mat feels like underneath the hands. On the next inhalation, we'll go ahead and rise back up tabletop. And we'll go ahead and bring those knees back in front of us. Making sure we have a bend in the knees. This time we'll go ahead and bring the hands around the thighs. We could grab opposite elbows, opposite forearms, or opposite wrists. We're going to go into what we call a lean forward fold. So we'll go ahead and bring we'll bring the heels out in front of us and trying to extend the legs. You have that nice bend in the legs, or we can lengthen them all the way out. Go ahead and round out the spine, and we'll stay here for 3 to 4 breaths. Next, we'll inhale, releasing those arms underneath the legs, coming back up. And next, we'll go ahead and bring the bottoms of the feet together, knees out to the side, coming into butterfly position. We could grab the outer edges of the feet. Maybe we open the feet up and we read the feet like a book. It's okay if your knees don't touch the ground. We'll go ahead and inhale, lengthen the spine. And then we'll exhale, begin to fold forward. Maybe the elbows are on the insides of the knees, pressing the knees apart from one another. Go ahead, inhale, coming back up. Good. We'll go ahead, bring those knees back together. And we'll go ahead and bring the hands behind the body, fingertips facing forward. We're gonna come into what we call a reverse tabletop. We're making our body look like furniture. So we'll inhale, lift the hips off of the mat. And go ahead and bring our gaze up towards the ceiling. Staying here for a few breaths. And exhale, lowering those hips back down onto the mat. We'll go ahead and extend the legs forward out in front of us. Bring your hands on either sides of the hips. And we'll go ahead and inhale, lifting those arms up above the head. And exhale, folding forward. Maybe your hands touch the shins. Maybe they touch the ankles or the sides of the feet. Go ahead and hang out wherever you may reach. We'll go ahead and round out the spine. We'll stay here for 3 to 4 breaths. Inhale, reaching back up. This time we'll go ahead and bring that right foot into the left thigh, the inner left thigh. And we'll go ahead and rotate that torso over towards that left leg, inhaling those arms up above the head. And exhale, fold over that left leg. Our hands can be on either side of that left leg. Go ahead and round out that spine. We'll stay here for 3 or 4 breaths. Inhale, reaching back up. Go ahead, extend that right leg out to meet the left. Shake the legs out a little bit. Go ahead, take that bend in that left knee, bringing that bottom of the left foot on the inside of that right thigh. And go ahead, we'll shift our torso over towards the right. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, fold over that right leg. Inhale, walk the hands back up. And we'll go ahead, take a bend in those knees. And we'll extend those arms forward. And we'll slowly begin to inch one vertebrae down at a time, coming all the way down onto the mat. Once we get down onto the bottom of our mat, we'll go ahead and hug the knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side. Coming back to center, we'll extend those arms out to a T. And we'll go ahead and move the hips off to the left and drop the knees to the right. Next, we'll bring our gaze to the left hand. Maybe we place that right hand on top of that left thigh, coming into a nice spinal twist. Next, we'll inhale, bringing the knees and hips back to center. And we'll exhale, bring the hips off to the right and drop those knees to the left, bringing our gaze to that right hand. Maybe we place that left hand on top of that right thigh. Next, we'll go ahead and inhale, lift those knees back up to center, and go ahead and hug those knees back into the chest. We'll lift our chin up towards the knees And we'll give ourselves a really nice tight hug. And then we'll go ahead and release those limbs down onto the mat. And we're going to set ourselves up for Shavasana. So maybe that means we grab a pillow for our head or underneath the thighs. Maybe that means we grab a blanket to cover the body. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable, whatever that may look like for you. Maybe that means putting some socks on your feet. Just let the outer edges of the feet fall open, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Maybe elongating the neck, bringing the chin in towards the chest. Coming back to a natural flow of breath. Begin to relax the jaw. Relaxing the forehead. And the point between the eyebrows. Resting the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Maybe we let the mouth fall slightly open. Begin to relax the neck and the collarbone. Relaxing the left shoulder blade. The left bicep, tricep. Relaxing the left elbow, the forearm. Relaxing the left wrist and the hand, and each finger. Next, we'll relax the right shoulder. Relaxing the right bicep and tricep. Relaxing the right elbow and the forearm. Relaxing that right wrist and palm and every finger. Next, we'll bring our awareness to our heart center and the belly. Noticing it rise and falls with every inhalation and every exhalation. Allowing your belly to relax just a little bit more. Next, we'll bring our awareness to our hips, allowing them to relax. Relaxing the left thigh, the left kneecap, front and back. Relaxing that left calf, the left ankle and foot. And relaxing every left toe. Allowing the left side of the body to completely relax. Next, we'll bring our awareness to the right hip, allowing the right hip to relax just a little bit more. Relaxing the left thigh, the right knee, front and back. Relaxing that right calf, the right ankle, relaxing the right foot and every right toe. Completely align the right side of the body to relax. Next, we'll bring our awareness to the entire body. Every point that touches the ground, allowing our whole body to completely relax. Begin to bring yourself back to your breath. Allow a deepening of every inhalation and every exhalation. Begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Rotating the wrists and the ankles. Allowing life to come back into the body. Maybe we move our head from side to side. Next, we'll go ahead and inhale the arms up above the head for one last final stretch. Go ahead and roll off to the right side of the body using the bicep as a pillow and coming into fetal position. Taking a couple breaths here. And when we're ready, go ahead and press up through that left palm, extending that left leg, and we'll meet back into a comfortable seated position. We'll go ahead and press our palms together in prayer position in front of heart center. And slightly bow our head in gratitude for bringing ourselves to our mats and to our practice today. Sharing this practice virtually with one another. And this practice with light in me honors the light in you. And with that, we are one. Namaste.